Qinghai Tibet Plateau, known as the roof of the world, has an average altitude of more than 4,500 meters. The Earth's highest plateau sits 1,300 kilometers from the nearest coastline of China. With an extremely dry climate and an average humidity level of less than 10%. A sound from the depths of the ocean has been echoing over this plateau for a long time.
Tondane Kedo Gomba ge Tensan Sachinba. Tene Loju na Longo Chitre Jeton ge Loju Yoba.
The conch, a creature from the sea, bears different meanings on the roof of the world. This novice monk from the Neiming Academy of Zizhu Temple, aside from his daily routine of studying the scriptures, has a special hobby.
Ngaron namju tagajin chi jile ka jik chin jodo sojute jodo chonishi ne dorusha jute nganzu sajan de jula ramen hatso ka jodo mopo hijor yang yang mopo hinyor niyan hinyo.
He picks up conch shells on the back mountain of the temple and carefully preserves these ancient remnants of the earth. The conch shells are the memories the blue planet kept hundreds of millions of years ago. Around 1.2 billion years ago, the Qinghai Tibet Plateau was elevated under the mighty force of geological movement. In its ascent to become the roof of the world, the plateau kept alive the memories of the earth. Then, over 100 times the length of human history, it has unfolded these fragments with the wildest force before our very eyes. The plateau has borne the early marks of the ocean. From the deepest seabed to the highest peak, the unique living environment of the Qinghai Tibet Plateau has given birth to a detached outlook on life. The ocean, where the Earth's early life was born, tells a different story here. in the blistering summer, the sun scorches this land. It's Nakchu in Tibet, a city with an average altitude of over 4,500 meters. Tsering Dongdup's family are working in the world's highest barley field. This family can trace their lineage back to the ancient Jiangjun Kingdom. Nourished by the Tangra Yumko Lake, one of the top 3 holy lakes in Tibet, this place rose to become one of the cradles of the Jiangjun Kingdom. The stone houses that are thousands of years old stood as vivid reminders of the kingdom's past glory. When Chen Ling, a native of Beijing, set foot on the soil of Tibet at 26, she was immediately enthralled by the time-honored Tibetan culture. To explore the grandeur and legend of the Jiangjun Kingdom, she has trekked across the plateau for more than 20 years.
我现在所在的地方就是那曲当着雍措旁的古代石屋，这里也是西藏最古老的文明象雄文明的发源地之一。正是因为这样的大湖，也正是因为这些湖泊的存在和滋养，才让这里在生存条件极其恶劣的环境下，繁衍出了这样灿烂辉煌的文明。
This is the 5th time that Chen Ling has come to Wenbu. The enthusiastic Tsering Dongdup's family got up early, cooked the butter tea. Rose was early and dressed up. Greet an old friend whom they haven't seen for a long time. Dongdup's B&B stays close to Tangra Yumtso. The azure lake and pure snow mountains are the most unique view in his homeland. Tso means lake in Tibetan, while Gyatso means ocean. Chilliness and dryness are characteristics of most of the Tibetan plateau. However, the existence of Tso provides the water necessary for survival. Like an ocean protecting life, Tso enables life to continue on this plateau. The family of Tsering Dongdup has 2 mu of barley fields near the Tangra Yumko Lake. And more than 30 sheep. Such a life is an endowment by the lake.
Tichidu tanga zo merap mangpo tanuru zo bolhojo tangjo ne ta tarayin de tangla ta zo chowa jan de smelo tongda mangpo tichidu ji hinga ni dokpa sama tamji ja changle ki zenya phujum chopo.
The lofty Dagwo Snow Mountain and vast Tangra Yumtso nourish the people of the lakeside. They affectionately honor the holy lake as Mother. Holy Lake worship. It has been a tradition that's been around for thousands of years. The locals put up mani stones by the lake, dance the elegant peacock dance, and make harmonious melodies with conches. To express their sincere gratitude and praise for their mother lake. According to ancient Tibetan songs, The sea conceived the snowy land, which gave birth to early life, and then humans and other living creatures. The lakes in Tibet, the remains of ancient oceans on the plateau, serve as the sacred origin of life. The power of the holy lake erased the boundaries of species. All kinds of species enjoy lasting peace here. The brilliant future we yearn for, it has long been a reality on this pure, snowy plateau.
湖泊对于高原和海洋对于人类是同样的关系。在西藏，生命和大湖是互相依存的。错是海洋留给高原最美丽的礼物。
The ocean has retreated, but the lakes it left behind in Tibet continue to nourish living creatures on the plateau. By the holy Tangra Yumko Lake, where a splendid kingdom flourished thousands of years ago, a pastoral song is being sung as an ode to the Qinghai Tibet Plateau.
This is my Map of Mountains and Seas series. It's a photographic reflection on the Shanhai Jing, the guideways through mountains and seas, and a foundational text dating back to the 4th century BC.
I skim through the story of King Mu and view the pictures in the Mountains and Seas classic. A glance encompasses the ends of the universe. Where is there any joy if not in these? As China's oldest book dealing with geography, the classic of Mountains and Seas divides the world into 5 mountains, 4 seas, and 8 wilderness. All-encompassing and far-reaching, the book marks the dawn of mankind's exploration of the world. Michael Cherney is an American artist. Inspired by his father, Cherney has been in intimate contact with Asian culture from a young age. He has come and stayed in China since early 1990s. Here, he met his other half and a group of friends from another space and time.
This is the commentary on the water classic written by Li Daoyuan in the 5th century AD, which documents waterways and other geographies throughout China. This classic text and the maps that represent it have inspired my most recent explorations and artworks. This is the rubbing of a stone inscription by the Song dynasty poet Lu You. It is his commentary on the buried crane inscription. These, along with many other sources, help connect me with, or help create kinship with, a community of like-minded artists and scholars that spans millennia.
In tracing the ancients through modern photography, it's Michael Cherney's way to communicating with the sages. In his works, the intersection of 2 ideas, it's like opening the door to time and space. Let the present and the past, they meet on the thin Xuan paper. Map of Mountains and Seas, The Mountains, is one of Cherney's most important photographic hand scrolls created in China. The passage of time, incorporated into his work by cameras, imparts an otherworldly property to the traditional Chinese landscape of the hand scroll. The crustal movement of the earth, which has lasted for hundreds of millions of years, brought forth the evanescence of worldly affairs. With the unrolling of the hand scroll, bit by bit, Chinese ancestors' perceptions of the world were unfolded before our eyes. Over the past 20-plus years, Cherny has traversed most parts of China and even ventured into uncharted territories several times. With ancient Chinese literati as his tour guides, Cherny successfully found historical sites one after another and captured their particular moments through the camera lens.
This trip is to Penglai in Shandong Province. It's a place specifically mentioned in the Guideways Through Mountains and Seas as a source of myths and legends related to the sea, the most well-known of which is a story of it being the site where 8 immortals crossed the waters to a kind of dreamland. On this, as with any trip, it is important to first do extensive research, such as studying classic texts and maps, as well as using current tools, such as Google Earth, to determine the locations for photography from the most ideal angle. These techniques helped with finding and following the traces of cultural memory and those who have come before. This is one of the pieces from my Tracing the Water Classic series, which combines classical maps with photography of the actual locations recorded on the maps.
In our ancestors' minds, the world was comprised of mountains and waters. It's believed that the vast ocean was the dwelling of the Chinese immortals. Mount Penglai, one of the top 3 godly mountains in Chinese mythology, has grown into a luxuriant, fabled tree, with a myriad of later literary works adding to its branches and leaves. While a godly mountain on the sea dwelled only in the imagination and dreams of ancient Chinese, today's Penglai has become a mirror image of their mythological world. Cherny has left his footprints in the Penglai Pavilion, Tianheng Mountain, and even some obscure, small fishing villages. He believes that the elusive and ethereal world of Mount Penglai is nestled somewhere in the vast expanse of the Blue Sea. Of all the hundreds of photos he has taken, only a few pixels could give full expression to the subtle aura of Mount Penglai. In the millennium-old seaside town of Xiesongying, Cherny indulges in chatting with old fishermen whose families have settled in the town for generations.
像这样的房子，它大概多少年？
这样的房子也是
哇，
不止，这个鼓楼就300多年了。
Roaming the streets and alleys of Penglai City, Cherny feels lost in a travel back thousands of years ago, tracing the footprints of generations of Penglai natives venturing into sea with his camera. Day after day, Cherny has spent a month capturing sceneries and moments of life in Penglai. To his disappointment, his muse, Mount Penglai, never show up. Today will be the last day of his stay in Penglai. He decides, since his endeavor is to no avail, it's time to say goodbye. Clinging to a glimmer of hope, he boards the ferry to Changdao, the only island county in Shandong Province. On the beach of Changdao, closest to Penglai City, Cherny casts a casual glance back at the city and immediately takes his proudest photo of his entire trip. In the photo, Penglai City was like a wonderland on the sea, dreamy and ethereal. With the whistles of ships wafting along from afar with the sea wind, it finally dawns on Cherny that the real-world Penglai, a small seaside city where people live happily, is the real godly Mount Penglai. Empty is the cloud sea of the east, where deities show up and disappear. Su Shi, a great Chinese poet during the Song dynasty, expressed his sense of loss for not catching a glimpse of the rare mirage of Mount Penglai. Hundreds of years later, Cherny from across the Pacific is searching for Mount Penglai on the same spot, but in a different way.
From the start of the trip, I had wondered if it would even be possible to photograph a myth, or the 8 immortals crossing to their dreamland. Or is it obscure enough to remind us that what we are searching for may not be beyond our grasp? It may be right here beneath our feet.
Laden with ancient Chinese fantasies about the ocean, Cherny returns to Beijing and renders his works in the form of traditional Chinese landscape paintings. Through bold scale down and scale up, the 35mm film captures dazzling fairy mountains offshore with unpolished, coarse-grained pixels, like brushstrokes on thin Xuan paper. What the ancestors dreamed about the ocean thousands of years ago, how ancient people imagined the ocean thousands of years ago, has been recorded by Cherny through his photography and fell on Xuan paper. Meticulous printing to complicated mounting, every step adds another layer of charm to his work. Ultimately, the perfect combination of Western photography and Chinese landscape painting comes into being, linking the past with the present. After months of post-production, his extensive art piece, Mountains and Seas, was finally published. Shrouded in mist, the ocean seems all the more illusory. Viewing Penglai from offshore, the land is like a fairyland in indistinct silhouette. From the pinpoints described in the classic of Mountains and Seas, the scroll unfolds to present a century to millennia dream. Every picture in the dream are the steps of the Chinese people to the depths of the ocean.
The nature of water is to return to the sea, so a photographer's journey that culminates at the sea also evokes a feeling of a return, just as with the ancient desire of the immortals to return to Penglai, or of humankind's timeless desire to be in balance with nature.
Covering an area of 360 million squared kilometers, the ocean paints our planet in azure. Waves resound, as does light. Over centuries of vicissitudes, nature left its everlasting marks, enchanting people from generation to generation.